What's up guys, and welcome back. It's March, and as you already know, there is a new feature update from Flutterflow. We have from test on device with local run, new Gemini actions using Google Gemini AI, seamless app walkthrough where you can onboard people into your app and upgrade to Flutter 3.19 and a lot of other features. If you haven't already, there are a couple of buttons down there. You should make use of those. Let's get into it. Now, at the end of this video, this is what we are simply going to build. First place, we have the test on device with local run. So this is not going to be demonstrated, but I'll talk about it in the video. That's because I don't have like a Mac to try. Now we have seamless app walkthrough. Let's just come to this first. Now this implementation is being shown on the Gemini AI page, like this page that will have like a new Gemini AI actions. So here we are going to see how to make use of the new Gemini AI action. So for our walkthrough, let's click on it. And automatically you see like this walkthrough is going to enable you to like onboard users into your application and whatnot. So you have click here to start something. Anyways, that's that about the walkthrough. So for our Gemini AI action, so we have this text generation that it receives a prompt from a user. Then when you click on magic, it runs that prompt and then presents an output, and the same for image evaluation. It takes in either an image URL ideally or the base64 of an image, and then you can do some magic with it too. So for text generation, let's just ask like how old is Google. Let's keep it simple. And magic, click on magic, and that is going to run, and it says 25 years old. Let's come to image evaluation, and I have this image URL, this base64, and I'm going to go click on check, populate the image here for me to preview. And the prompts running behind is I'm asking it to describe this image, or what can it say about this image. So click on magic, and Gemini AI should be able to tell us something about this particular image that it is saying. It says the image shows a happy family of 4. The parents are smiling and the children look happy as well. They are well. Yeah, that's the idea about that there. So next thing we have Flutter 3.9 update. Flutter 3.9 update is just making sure you have like compatible packages if you are using to have your Flutter application or your Flutterflow application running smoothly. So next up we have these other improvements, like now support for enums. You can now use enums as drop downs or choice shapes. So this is a very useful feature. And now there's also an action. The next one is there's an action that you can use to query Supabase. So if you click on this action, it's going to query Supabase and then brings us the first user from our Supabase table, which is John Doe, as you can see down here. So those are all the things I'll be touching. Make use of the button below. So the first thing first, we have this thing, test on device with local run. So currently this is apparently available just for macOS users, where Flutterflow has the macOS desktop application for. So you have things like instant reloads. You can instant reload your app, like you are developing and reload your app effectively. Unlimited test duration, no longer having to like start new test session when you're developing. You can have unlimited test session here. Native device testing, you can test on a real iOS device while you're developing. So I don't currently have access to any iOS device to demonstrate that, or a MacBook to demonstrate that, but there's a very interesting video here that you can check out. We move on to the next thing. We have new Gemini AI actions. Now this makes use of Google Gemini AI. If you head over to ai.google.dev, you're going to see this interface, and Flutterflow has this implementation made natively for you to use in your Flutterflow application. So Google here has a lot of documentation about how to use the model and how you can integrate into your application, so you can be sure to check it out. Now let's head over to our Flutterflow dashboard and get implementing. So this is our folder for the March update. This is it by the side here, and we have the new Gemini AI actions. So for this, I already have this interface made where we have text gen and image eval. That's how I call it. This is just a simple like tab bar that you can navigate between two tabs. So for the text gen, let me just walk you through what we are going to do. We have this prompt here where you input your prompt, and after you input your prompt, you click on magic, and it's going to like give a response from Gemini AI. And we have this image eval where you are going to input an image URL that you can check if the image is existing or not, and then it's going to display the image here. And when you click on magic, it's also going to like give you feedback from Gemini AI about the image. So to get started with Gemini AI on Flutterflow, on your Flutterflow dashboard, you need to come here to settings, and you scroll right down, there's a Gemini down here. So currently we have it disabled. You need to toggle it on and then get your Gemini API key. So there's a little helper here that says go to ai.dev/tutorials/setup to see how you can create a new Gemini AI key. So this is our Gemini AI Studio, or whatever they call it. And what I'm going to do here real quick is we have up here get API key. So I'm just going to click on that to create a new key. Create API key. This is going to require you to select a project. Here you are going to see a list of projects that you have. So we have this Flutterflow updates project that we are working with. I'm going to click that. But if you don't have any project, you can just generate API key with a new Google Cloud project. So I'm going to say create API key in an existing project. And after a couple of seconds, I should have my API key that I can use. So I'm just going to copy that real quick. Head over here to Flutterflow and paste the key here. Hopefully there's a way that I can delete this later, because after the video I may have to. Okay, yeah. So we have this key, and that is all the configuration that we need to use the Gemini AI. Now, according to Flutterflow, the way this thing works is you have the power to use the Gemini actions to generate text, and also you can accept text prompts or image prompts, and then count the number of tokens that your API has remaining. So this is a native functionality that you can have embedded in your app that you are developing. So let's head over to our interface and see how we can get this rolling. So first off, on text gen, what I want is I need a user to input a prompt here, like probably ask the question or anything. You input the prompt, and when you click on magic, you should have a text response, like the response should come back here. So by the way, this text response is an app state that I created here. It's a page state that I created here. So we have text response, we have image response, therefore response that comes back after our image prompt has been sent, or response that comes back after our text prompt has been sent. They also have image path. This is just the image path. I'm setting this from this page state. So we have an image by default, and the image path has a default image, which is this URL. Yeah, it's just a Flutterflow logo that is showing here. So for text gen, since the same button is the same, because if you look at our widget tree, we have this column that has a tab bar and this single button. So the button is the same, but we have two different tab bars that I want to make use of, right? So I need to set a conditioner first off on this button that is going to work based on which tab that we are. So I'm going to click here on this magic, the button first off, and I say here on action tab, I'll open that and add a conditional action. So my conditional action should say if the widget state, like our tab bar, the current index is 0, is equal to 0, means if it's the first one, right? Then when they click generate, the action on text evaluation should happen, because this first one said text generation, the second one is image evaluation. So if this tab bar is currently at index 0, then we want the action on text evaluation to happen. That's what we're going to tie down here. Let's add another condition again. Say if widget state tab bar current index is equal to 1, it means if it's the next one, because tab bar starts from index the index 0. If it is 1, then we now need to tie our action to do the image evaluation. So for my normal text evaluation, for this text generation, I want to receive the prompt and then call the Gemini AI, right? So I'm going to come here back on this button and open, and I'll say there's an action called Gemini, so that is now available. So you scroll down here, I think it's integration, then have Gemini. So Gemini what? Generate text. Want to generate text based on what? The text prompt should simply be what the user inputs, right? So we're going to come here to widget states, and we say prompt 1 prompt, which is what the user is going to input, and the response should be Gemini and text response. Now what you have to note here is Flutterflow has just encapsulated the response that is coming out from Gemini AI, and it's displaying it's giving us back just the text response. So no other thing. We don't need to use JSON part or anything to index to locate something like we do in normal OpenAI API. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to update this page state. This page state that says text response here. I'm going to update it to have that new response that we got from the Gemini AI. So I'm opening that, and I will say add action, state management, then update page state. What page state do I want to update? Text response, the value to this action output, Gemini text response. And that is all we need for this workflow. And if you want to show something like a snack bar or maybe a toast or whatsoever thing to show that this has gone successfully, then yeah, you can do that. Let's disable this conditional action for now and then start our test mode so that we can actually see what we have done with that text generation. All right, so we are here now. Well, I give exclusive, by the way, if you want access to see like this project, I give exclusive access. I don't know yet how to monetize that, but you can just write me and I'll share the project with you. So we have update March 7, and when we click on it, we have this new Gemini AI actions. So let's click on that. So it's requesting us to input our prompts. So I don't know what to ask. Let me ask a simple question as who are the founders of Flutterflow? Or let's keep the title, by the way, and see how we can get it done. I'll click on magic, and after a while, Ivan Zhao and Li Tran. I don't think that. Where is Ebe? Okay, that's messed up. And I'm going to do a quick Google search because I don't believe this response. And this is my brief search. Even with the errors, we have Abel and Alex. So these are actually the founders of Flutterflow. I don't know what this Gemini is thinking. Let me correct the English so that you can see. Be mindful when you're using these models, they can give false results. I think this is the warning all of them are even saying when you're integrating that they are liable to give false results. So this is not correct. I don't know what they are thinking. Okay, and internal errors occur. I mean, this is not even something you can say you are mistaking Flutterflow for Flutter itself, because these are not even the founders of of Flutter. So I don't know. Let's ask something else. Now I think Gemini is just dumb or something. Maybe the model I'm using is when was this model ended? Like the model training, when did it end? I don't even know. Let me ask something simple. How can I create a Google Cloud project? If the model is this faulty, I don't think it's a good thing to start using. I don't know if it's from Flutterflow's end or Gemini's end. But yeah, you've seen like we've tried running this thing 5 times and 2 times we got an error. So creating a Google Cloud project, yeah. These are instructions. I don't know if it's correct, but you just have an idea. Let's not digress. You just have an idea how to use the text gen. For this other action path, like the image evaluation, what I want is when a user enters an image URL, they should be able to check and see if the image is valid. Then if the image is valid, the image should be shown down here. Anyways, that's just a simple like user functionality. So I'm going to do this, and I'll say when they click on check, what I simply want to do is just update this page state called image path, because here we are showing this image here as the image path page state. The URL that we have here is the image path page state. So I'm going to click on check, and when they input the URL and click on check, what do I want to do? I want to update this page states and image path to be what they inputted. So I'm going to say set value, and what value do I want to set? I want to set it to be the widget state prompt to say enter image URL, right? Because that's the widget this input field. When they check, now it's automatically going to be shown down here. So there is something to note about the type of images I use. I think Google has a list of acceptable images like PNG whatsoever. So just have that at the back of your mind. There's a page for it. I saw it somewhere, but I don't know exactly where to point to. But yeah, just have that at the back of your mind, just in case you happen to fall into any error. So yeah, we want that when we click on magic again, our second action, if tab bar current index is 1, then what do we want to do? We need a Gemini action again. Gemini text from image. And what am I going to say? The text prompts, I'm just going to ask it, what can you say about this image? So it's probably going to give a description of the image that will pass. And what image do we want to pass? Sorry, what image do we want to pass to this prompt? We say, let's say image from network URL, yeah. And the URL I want to use is this input field. Well, you can either choose to use the app state, because if the user click on checked, but if they do not click on checked, you may want to use directly from the widget tree, from the widget state. So I'm just going to use directly from the widget state prompt 2. And what do we want to say? Call this response Gemini. And the next thing we want to do is assign the response to an app state. So state management, page state variable, want to do image response, which is a string, and we want to set the value to be equal to the action output of our Gemini image prompting, whatever. Okay, so and I think that this is all what we need for that. And let's refresh our application and see how this actually comes into play. Now we are here, we're going to go to March 7 and new Gemini AI Actions. So what I want to do is let's just look for an image online, and I'm going to copy this image URL. I just want to see the reason why is I'm searching for fighting. I'm looking for something that can possibly break the model. You know how model reject like violent or nudity or something like that. So we have this image, and I'm going to click on check. Let's see that. Okay, now this is our image, and let's click on magic and see if it actually goes. Okay, so this is what I was saying. It apparently like refuses this image, probably because of the extension or the way the image ends. But let me remove this and then keep just the .jpeg. We have check and magic. Okay, this is crazy. So guys, for some reason I'm unable to get this image to work. Let me see, let me try one more time with like an image that the path is not very long as we have this one. So I'm going to head over to nocodesolutions.com and I'll copy this image URL. Right, that's a PNG image that we have there, and magic, nothing again. So I really have no idea why. Check, that's the image and then magic. Okay. Apparently the image has to be of some format. I don't know like what exactly is happening here. This image shows a happy family. They are all smiling and looking like they love each other very much. The family is wearing casual clothes. Yeah, but look at the path, like the image that I have here. It looks like the base 64 or something. I don't know. Is that what it requires? Probably that we made clear in the documentation. But yeah, that's just how like the image generation action works. So we have that. All right. So the next feature we have is the seamless app walkthrough. So now this allows you to create like a walkthrough for your application. Like you can use it as a simple onboarding thingy for your application. Now, Flutterflow has a tutorial about that. They have a tutorial that they made about that. But I'm just going to walk you through how you can set up the app walkthrough. Okay, so we have here on now we know for a fact, like I've explained, like to be able to generate this image evaluation or to do this image evaluation, you have to come to image evaluation, you paste the URL, you click on check before you click on magic. So let's just do this simple walkthrough. Let's try to build a simple walkthrough that will instruct users on how to go through this process, right? So let's come here. We have this section here called walkthroughs. Where is it? Settings. Then you go to walkthroughs. This is where you can look at walkthroughs. So now we are currently on that page. So let's create a new walkthrough. So I'm just going to click on new, and this is the page that we are on. So I'm going to say I'm going to name the walkthrough like Gemini image evaluation. That's how I want to do. So new, yeah, this is the page, new Gemini AI action. You can select the page here, and yeah, we can set like an order or the steps of things that the user needs to do. So I'm going to add a step, and this step is going to select this widget, the image evaluation tab. So I need them to click here again. Okay, confirm. Now what we need to do is when creating a walkthrough, you need a component, right? A component that we're going to use to be displaying all of those things. So let me get it done. Let's create a new component that we are going to be using. I'm just going to come back here and I'm going to create a new component. So we have this component that just takes in a text. So we want to set a parameter for the component, which will be the message that we're going to pass through from our walkthrough. And let's create that and say message, as simple as that. Message, and it is a text, it's a string, and it's required default is just a space confirm. And down here we need to just display but the message that we received. So I'm just going to click here and then select message. So back here on our walkthrough, let's create a new walkthrough. So what do we need to do is select this our walkthrough message as a component. First off, let's select the widget. Which widget do we want them to click on? We want this image eval tab. So when they click on this image eval tab, we confirm that. They'll say walkthrough image, the content alignment, let's just set it as bottom, right? And then instead of a circle, let's use a rectangle so that it overlays like rectangular over that text. bottom right, and let's pass this image that we're supposed to pass, this text, this parameter that we're supposed to pass to that page to make it display what we want to do. So pass a message. The message is click here to evaluate an image. Right, that will close. Hopefully, yeah, that has been passed. Now that's the first thing they want to do. After they have clicked here, we say add another step. And which widget do we want to do? We want to select this prompt, select this input field, and confirm. What do we need to use again? This our same walkthrough component, and content alignment should still be bottom. And let's pass a message here. The message is input a valid image URL. Therefore, the one when you want to do the search, we still use rectangular again. Again, you can start preview and then you see the whole idea. So you say, click here to evaluate an image. You click, then it says input a valid image URL. You get the idea, right? And then the next thing, let's add a walkthrough step on check that when they click, they are going to do initiate. It's going to initiate the check. And I think that's our walkthrough. Then we click on add walkthrough. This is a walkthrough that we have created. So if you click on start preview, we can just evaluate this walkthrough and see. We click on evaluate. We do that. It's going to say enter image URL. I think the time is a little bit slow for me, for my liking. Then click on check, and then come down here, click on magic. Also, walkthrough has these things I can also click on skip. Like you can skip walkthroughs, like down here below. If you click on skip, it's going to skip to the next. Yeah. So let's stop the preview. And there's a lot of configuration that you can do with this walkthrough, like you see here. Now, this is an important thing to note. On this page now, if you come to this page, like the initial page itself, on these actions, if you open this action panel, you are going to see on walkthrough complete and on walkthrough skip. So these are new action triggers that we can now listen to. On walkthrough complete is going to be triggered when the walkthrough is completed. So let's just add like on walkthrough complete, let's just add like congratulations. Let's just add a snack bar that says congratulations. A snack. So when that walkthrough is completed, you just want that snack bar to say congratulations. You can also tie a walkthrough, sorry, an action for when the walkthrough, like when the walkthrough is being skipped. And the way this can become very useful is if a user is navigating through your application, you don't want them to always be seeing that walkthrough. Maybe you just want it to show on the first time that they visit. So you can use that action to like update a page state or a field on the database record, on the user's record to show like this user has already gone through this walkthrough or what level the user ended on that walkthrough. There are so many things I can do with that. But that's just the idea, and I think that is very, very beautiful. And another thing to note here is you have to like trigger your walkthrough to actually start. So we want this walkthrough to start on page load, or you can set a condition to trigger the walkthrough. So I'm just going to start here on page load. This is our page, and I'm going to come to widget and UI interactions and walkthrough, and I'll say start walkthrough. Which walkthrough? I'm going to select the one that will create a Gemini evaluation, right? So this is what I want this walkthrough to just start when when this page gets loaded to just start. But you can configure that anyhow you want. That's just the whole idea about walkthroughs. So let's refresh and see what we have here. So let's see how the walkthrough is going to be in action. So update on March 7th. Click here, seamless app walkthrough. Okay, new Gemini AI action. So let's click here. Whoa, we just get congratulations. I don't think that is valid. Like, why are you congratulating us? You have not completed the walkthrough. New Gemini AI action again. Congratulations. That's messed up. Let me hard reload the page and let's see what we're going to get. So I'm going to hard reload, empty cache and hard reload, and let's see if it's going to change anything. So we're back here and let's see this seamless app walkthrough. New Gemini AI action. Okay. For some reason, I don't know why that thing is not showing. So let me try testing on the web. I've just published the app and this is it on the web. So update March and new Gemini AI action. Let's come here. Okay. So we have image eval. Click here to evaluate an image. So click, then it's going to switch. You click. Hmm, that is weird. We don't get anything here for this image URL. Okay, that is how we can trigger the walkthrough. So I don't know why this thing is messing up. I think we are having an issue with this walkthrough because it's like a tab widget or something. That it should work like continuously. Like after the image evaluation, we should get this thing to input the URL. Now that is how you can create a seamless app walkthrough in your application and onboard users easily. I think this is a very great feature to have in your application. So next up we have this Flutter 3.19 upgrade. And if you have like custom code that you're using that depends on some packages, you should definitely go to PubDev and check if those packages are supported for 3.19, the new Flutter version, and see how you can upgrade them. So that is a very good thing to do, just to make sure that your application are up to date, your packages are up to date, and you have your application running smoothly. Make sure you review your custom code for any outdated dependencies. Anyways, that's just what you should take note for this new Flutter version update. Here you can see, like, for example, this HTTP 1.2, it says that 3 compatible. It's definitely going to be compatible with 3.19. So make sure that the packages that you're using are compatible to this new version of Flutterflow. And if you want to check the version of Flutterflow that the version of Flutter that Flutterflow is currently using, you can just come up here and you see this is your project ID. Then you have the Flutterflow 4.1 version working on 3.19 Flutter version. So that's something that I need to note there. Now we have a couple of other minor changes. We have these other improvements, more support for enum, e.g. enums in app state, e.g. enums in app state and enums in dropdowns. Now I remember this conversation that this query that someone asked in the community, requesting on how to use enum as a drop down option, and they walked through. There were a couple of responses. The walkthrough that I suggested at that time was to create something like a custom function that just takes the enum values, then passes it as a string, a list of string that you can use on your drop down. Well, now you don't have to do that anymore. This is just like a simple video that I demonstrate about that. You don't have to do that anymore to convert your enums to string before you use them in drop down. You can just manually um, use the enum in your drop down and it will go automatically. So let's come over here to our data types. This is where you can create an enum. We don't currently have any enum. So let me just create an enum, say user type, and it's either going to be an admin or a normal user. So let's just have these two enums to demonstrate with. Now we have these two enum of user type that we have created. Let me come back here on this page and we say more support for enums. I'm just going to add a drop down inside this column. I'll add a drop down here, and this is our drop down and the list of values I want to select here to define the option I want to do. Select this, and instead of probably having like a list of string or something that we have queried, I want to use enums, and what enum values, the user type values that we have used, values. Now this is what has added. Okay, that's cool. Values, confirm. Initially that was not there. Initial configuration, everything can stay the same. Let's see if there is any action that involves a num now that has been added. So let's just click on this action tab, and then we click on open, add action. Let's say a num. There is nothing. That's why I just wanted to verify. But yeah, that's a really good functionality to have in your application too. Like imagine when you're onboarding users or when you are creating a user, they can select, like, say, an e-commerce app. Are you a buyer or you are a seller? Somebody can select like, hey, I want to register as a buyer. I want to register as somebody that will be selling things. Now we have this other query. Somebody's asking like generating choice chips option from enum. So I don't know. Let's just try to see if enum can also support that now. And Flutterflow forgot to mention, but let's just verify. So what I'm going to do is I'll just wrap this drop down in a row, and inside this row I'm going to add choice chip. Let's see if choice chips also support like setting default values from enum. So I'll click on this choice chip and define options. Let's say enums, user type, and values. Okay, now it also supports it. Yeah, that is very, very good. So maybe Flutterflow should also include that. And I think this, like, just having this, it definitely shows we can use enums in multiple places, because you can also say you can use it in app states. And using an enum in app states as simple as just coming here over to your app state section, app values, then app state, you create a new app state, say users row, for example, and you can specify the data type to be an enum. This is wonderful, to be a norm of user type. So this is great. This is a good thing to have too. Flutterflow has really done. So by default, you have the user role. Now I see so many places that we can use this. Like imagine creating again, onboarding a user or creating a new user for your application. You can just have the default role set here from this user role app state, which is a list of enums. So a user can either be a default by default, a normal user, or an admin, or somebody can be a seller or a buyer on an e-commerce platform. Normally it's vendor and merchant. I think that's the term that they use with e-commerce. But yeah, you get the idea. And so you can also set a default value. So you have that enum that you can populate on your drop-down field or your choice chip. And you have this app state variable with this default selected to user, which if a user doesn't select, or by default, if a user doesn't select any of those options, you just create them as a normal user or as a normal, say, merchant or client, whatsoever thing on your application. And yeah, that is useful. Kudos to Flutterflow. We have other thing like query superbase action. This is another improvement that they made. So initially, like when you come here to on an action, right? Let me just add a simple button under this inside this column, query SB. Now, if you know like this project, if you've been watching all the updates I've been making before, I already have my superbase set up here. I have my superbase set up, and so what I'm going to be doing here is just demonstrating this functionality. So initially, like when you come on an action tab, you only had a means of querying Firebase. But Flutterflow has added a means for you to also query Superbase, and I think that is super, super, super helpful because initially what you have to do is you have to query like on page load and then assign to a state variable, and then before you start using say your application or something like that, you don't have access to actually querying at a click of a button or when an action gets triggered. We do not have that as an action block. So this is something that's going to really elevate the way we develop. So let's say if you search on backend and database, now you have this super base and you can see query rows. This is interesting. This is helpful. Query row, what row do we want to query or what table? Let's say employees, for example. And that's it. You can query and they'll say list of employees. So after querying, let's just show a snack bar showing like the first employee, the very first one. Now on this query, let me see how many can we query just one? Okay, we can do like filter, we can also filter and we can also order. Anyways, yeah, that's not like the focus, but this functionality is currently available. So let me just display like the first employee here. We have our action output here. Okay, it's a list of employees. Now on our snack bar, we want to show this action output, list of employees, employee at index, item at index, the very first one. And what field do we want to display? Name. So let's just query this and it's going to display the first person's name. That is how we can query Superbase from our action block. And I think that is super, super interesting. Okay. So let's just see this drop down thingy in action. So I'm going to come here, other improvements. And we have our select here should have either user or admin, and our how they calling this thing, choice chips should have admin or user that you can select. So if you click on query superbase, we should query superbase and then get the first user and then display the user. Sorry, show a snack bar of the username John Doe. So that for that implementation. What next do we have here? We have more options for replacing widgets. So you can right click here and you say replace widget with, you have rich text, text field and button. So it's just like suggesting the best widgets that can possibly replace that particular text widget. Now if you right click on column here too and you say replace widget, it's going to also suggest like possible widgets that I can use to replace that column widget I have. And the same thing too for this container. So if I right click on this container and I say replace widget, only text, okay, say only text field, image, that can be replaced. Okay, that's good to know. But that's the idea about how you can replace widget. And one functional thing I like is I'll be making a video to show you like this little things about Flutterflow that you may not know. So you can stick out to watch that so you can see all of these things I'm talking about. But anyways, that's that for this minor or additional fixes. And like Flutterflow keeps saying, We are still waiting for our Flutterflow for Windows. Now there's code generation improvements. Definitely the only way to test that is to actually go and try generate code. But yeah, um, Flutterflow is promising. Flutterflow for Windows, Flutterflow Copilot. I think this is going to be amazing. Like you can actually chat and have your code generated, or however that functionality is going to be implemented. Improve debugging experience. That will be super helpful, rather than a lot of red screens and no more, not much useful things. I think if for this improved debugging experience, what they can do is when you have an error and you have that line of code that has the error, if you click on it, it should take you back to your app to that particular widget that is breaking or whatsoever. That will be helpful. And a public roadmap, so they want to make public the roadmap of features that we'll be working on, plus a whole lot more. So we are waiting for a whole lot more. So thank you for watching. That has been the updates, Flutterflow update for March 7. And we've touched along all these features. And if you like to have a Flutterflow update app or Flutterflow that I'm using to demonstrate all of these features, be sure to let me know. I can give you access to it. And yeah, I'm also putting together a course. So let's see how that goes together. Be sure to leave a thumbs up and leave your thoughts on what you think about this new features update and what you're most exciting looking forward to from Flutterflow. Thank you for watching and see you around.